Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a few topics that I want to discuss for our Sussex Scroll Wednesday. First, we're going to talk about the Uvalde, Texas playground. Second, we're going to talk about an update for their Netflix docu-series. Third, we're going to talk about Meghan supporting Iranian women. And fourth, we've got to get into this Variety interview. Let's get into it. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you have not already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video. I want to say a huge hello to the friends circle, and I'm going to go ahead and curtsy to the royal court. Thank you so much for joining us and gracing us with your presence. I really appreciate it. So I recorded half of this prior to getting ready for the day, because the struggle is real, and the other half after getting ready for the day. And I'm glad I did that because I wanted to stop and take some time to sit on my chaise lounge, look at the water, and then read the Variety interview word for word and just take it in the silence while drinking my hot chocolate. And boy, am I glad I did. It was quite an experience, and I'm so glad I got to read this before recording today. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert here the part of the video that I already pre-recorded, and then we're gonna come back to talk about the Vogue article, and then I'm also gonna talk about the Variety interview. And this update is from Cosmopolitan, and the title of this article is Why Harry and Meghan's Netflix docu-series has allegedly been delayed. This is by Grady Garcia, which is such a cute name. And the byline is, they're rattled at Netflix and they blinked first and decided to postpone the documentary. So let's see if this is true. Netflix has reportedly postponed the release of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's at-home docuseries until 2023, following backlash against a season 5 plotline on the streamer's hugely popular show, The Crown. According to Deadline, the company's execs were allegedly so rattled by the incident that they decided to push back the unofficial premiere of Harry and Meghan's docuseries, which had been slated to debut in December on the heels of The Crown Season 5, which comes out November 9th. Deets on the recoil are incoming. Apparently, the season 5 episode of The Crown that caused the shitstorm in the first place is titled Queen Victoria's Syndrome. The name alludes to the former monarch's lengthy 63-year reign. The reason? There's allegedly a plotline featured suggesting that in 1991, King Charles III complained to UK Prime Minister John Major about having to wait to take over the throne, which the politician recently insisted never happened and described as malicious nonsense, per Deadline. That said, at the time, there was an actual poll that ran in the UK Sunday Times arguing that both 1, the monarchy was dated, and 2, Queen Elizabeth should abdicate the throne in favor of her son. The Crown's 5th season episode allegedly riffs off that real-life event and features scenes of King Charles, portrayed by Dominic West, secretly agreeing with a passage in the paper that reads, "An aging monarch too long on the throne whose remoteness from the modern world has led people to grow tired not just of her, but the monarchy itself." It also allegedly depicts a meeting set up by Charles to meet with the Prime Minister, wherein the royal expresses how much he relates to the story of Edward VII being kept waiting in the wings for decades due to Queen Victoria's long rule. Previously, royal insiders have come out and said the family deems all of season 5 quite exploitative, since it also focuses on portraying the king's former marriage to Princess Diana. What people forget is that there are actual human beings and real lives at the heart of this. One source close with King Charles said. Interestingly enough, Netflix has stated today that there has never been any documentary from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex confirmed to be on the streamer in the first place. However, Page 6, which I roll to Page 6, originally reported that the docu-series was in the midst of being created, and Deadline has also said it did exist and was filmed at the couple's Montecito home, with the Sussexes serving as executive producers through the production company Archwell, per IndieWire. Honestly, I have no thoughts other than stay tuned. So what do y'all think? Next up on the Sussex Scroll, I'm going to be talking about the Uvalde playground. The news of this came out yesterday. Now, I found this in Harper's Bazaar, and the author is Chelsea Sanchez. The title of this is Meghan Markle and Prince Harry helped build a playground in Uvalde. Now, if you don't remember, Uvalde is where that horrific mass shooting happened at the elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Duchess Meghan and Prince Harry want to help the children and families of Uvalde, Texas heal by opening a new playground. The couple's charitable foundation, Archwell, partnered with the city of nonprofit Kaboom to build a new community play space in Uvalde, nearly 5 months after it became the site of the second deadliest school shooting in U.S. history. The Deleon Park Playground project intends to bring families together as they come to terms and recover from the tragedy, which took the lives of 21 people. The building of the park, which is located 4 blocks from Robb Elementary, was driven by the community and the kids who gave their input on what they'd like to see and play with in their dream playground. Quote, Uvalde has a long road ahead to recover, but this is a resilient and close-knit community, Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin said per press release. Quote, coming together to build the new playground at Deleon Park has given community members a way to unite around something positive as they try to heal. We are grateful for the rallying of support from Kaboom, Archwell, and others who are committed to the long-term health and well-being of the kids and families in Uvalde. James Holt, the executive director of Archwell, said in a statement, quote, it has been an honor to support the children and families in Uvalde design and build this amazing space where the community can come together. Our hope is that this special project can help the community heal and be home to imagination, games, and play for many years to come. The Duchess of Sussex traveled to Uvalde shortly after the shooting took place. At the time, a spokesperson for Meghan and Harry told Bazaar.com that she came, quote, in a personal capacity as a mother to offer her condolences and support in person to a community experiencing unimaginable grief. I think the playground is a fantastic idea. I think that was a very sweet gesture. And once again, this kind of proves my point from earlier that anything coming out of the Sussex camp is going to be confirmed by the Sussexes. And we didn't know about this until it was done, which is kind of their way. They like to move in silence because they like to move when things are happening. They don't like to just kind of have this they're coming into their own type of chatter. They like to get things done and actually make change, which we've talked about before. In honor of this really amazing news in Uvalde, Texas, which is in my home state of Texas, I decided to wear a shirt from another charity that Meghan has been affiliated with. Project Fearless is the girls and women-led organization in the Netherlands that she worked with, and I bought the sweatshirt, which is very comfortable, and I'll link that in the description box below, but they have other colors, but I really like this one. Right. So next I want to go ahead and talk about Meghan supporting Iranian women. I found this amazing article in Vogue, and I felt like it really encompassed what's going on, and I definitely wanted to share it here. I also trust Vogue for the most part. They haven't really given me a reason to kind of mistrust them, but let me know if I'm mistaken on that. Y'all always do. But I'm going to go ahead and share this article now. And again, this is in Vogue. And the title is Meghan shows her support for women and girls in Iran with her slogan t-shirt. The author is Emily Chan, and this was published today. The Duchess of Sussex has shown her support for women and girls in Iran with a black t-shirt featuring the slogan Women, Life, Freedom written in Farsi. Meghan wore the top for a Women at Spotify event at the company's LA headquarters, where she was joined by Archwell President Mandana Dayani and Executive Vice President of Global Communications Ashley Hansen, who are both Iranian. Quote, at an event today, Meghan spoke about the revolution being led by women and young girls in Iran, the courage and bravery they show every day, and their leadership and advocacy of basic human rights, Dayani wrote as she shared a series of images from the event on Instagram. Quote, as an Iranian woman who fled her home country in pursuit of these very freedoms, I could not have been more grateful for how she chooses again and again to advocate for women around the world. Now, I'm going to stop sharing there because I don't want to give away the entire article. I definitely want you guys to have an incentive to go and read it. So I'm going to link it in the description box below, along with the other articles that I've talked about today. But I think it's beautiful that she is showing support, again, global support. It's not just central to one country or even two countries. She's showing support worldwide. And I love that she's doing that, because the women of Iran have been protesting for a while now, and there's so much coming out of there. If you follow me on Twitter, you've seen me talk about this probably more than you want to, but I've been talking about it a lot on my Twitter. I've been talking about it a lot on Instagram and sharing the information that I can get my hands on. I definitely stand with the women of Iran, and I'm praying for your revolution, and I pray for each and every one of you. And what you are doing is an amazing sacrifice for the women and girls that will come after you. You are doing huge things, and I don't have to tell you that. You already know. But it was very impactful to see her support Iranian women. We haven't seen a lot of other celebrities speak out about this, and we definitely haven't seen any royal family members talk about it. And if we have, let me know, because I haven't seen it. So I'm so glad that she is bringing awareness to this. It's already global, but just having her voice, having more voices in support of the women of Iran, that is impactful, and it's so necessary. So I'm really glad that she took the time to do that. Lastly, on our Sussex scroll, I want to talk about this Variety interview. When I got the alert to this morning, I was really excited. I hopped on my chaise, wrapped up in my big old fur blanket, sat in front of the water for a little moment to quiet and calm in the morning. I like to ease into my morning, and then I read this interview, and I definitely took it all in. It was a very good interview. Now, the interviewer was Matt Donnelly. The photographer was Ramona Rosales, which, bitch, you did that. You killed it. And the title is Meghan Markle Lets Her Guard Down on Grieving Queen Elizabeth, Producing with Harry, and Returning to Hollywood. Now, the intro, it smacked us right there. It really took us to the moment where she was taking the photos, all of that. They really walked us through it. She ran into a group of older ladies who were, I think they were hiking, and she drove by on the way to the photo shoot. And as she drove by and waved, they were like, can you imagine? I bet that would be funny to just be up there hiking and be like, oh, hey, royalty. So the intro was really good. Part of the intro that I wanted to highlight, though, it says, for most of her public life as the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan has been described as many things: disingenuous, calculating, determined, relatable, even Diana-like. But spend a day with her and you'll witness a side that the public hasn't seen. The nerdy American mom. Meghan talks about how she loves to watch Jeopardy and do Wordle in bed with a glass of wine. She absentmindedly raps her son's favorite song, a track about the Tyrannosaurus Rex from Ask the Storybots. That part was really funny. And talks enthusiastically about Beyonce, specifically how Cozy is her favorite song from the new album. I really could have guessed that. I'm not lying. I always felt like that song was heavily inspired by what Meghan was going through. And if not, it just happened to be a very strong twist of fate, because I felt that when I first heard that song. If you go back and watch my review, I literally said when I heard Cozy, I thought about Meghan. That's so funny. The next quote I want to talk about was the interviewer, Matt Donnelly, asks, has anything come up for you and your relationship with the Queen since her passing? Meghan said, I reflected on that first official engagement that I had with her, how special that felt. I feel fortunate, and I continue to be proud to have had a nice warmth with the matriarch of the family. The matriarch of the family, not the monarch. She makes a clear distinction here, and I think there's something to that. She saw her as a family member. That's why it used to really bug me, and it still does, when people kind of talked about Meghan being all about publicity, Meghan wanting to be around the Queen or the royal family for clout. First of all, she was already famous. First of all, she was already rich, but we'll get there. But the fact that Meghan isn't about those things, she didn't even really give a damn about the titles. It was about the people, and that seems to be a running trend here. And the fact that she wasn't talking about the monarchy or about the fact that this was a queen, she's simply talking about a matriarch and a family. Continuously proving us right and them wrong. Matt goes on to ask, how have you processed this loss as a family? And she says, in big moments in life, you get a lot of perspective. It makes you wonder what you want to focus your energy on. Right now, we feel energized and excited about all the things we've been building toward. We're also focused on our foundation. So much of the work we do includes the philanthropic space. The next quote I want to talk about was this one. Matt asks, you've done 2 major interviews since returning to America, one with Oprah Winfrey and the other with New York Magazine, which some found to be snarky. What has it been like to open up about your life now? First of all, nothing about this woman reads as snarky, and I'm not being biased. Like, she's just not a snarky person. But I read that interview and I didn't find that to be snarky at all. People are gonna find something wrong with Meghan. That's just what they're gonna do. And she responded, the New York story was intended to support archetypes and focus on our projects. I've had some time to reflect on it. Part of me is just really trusting, really open, and that's how I move in the world. I have to remember that I don't ever want to become so jaded that that piece of me goes away. So despite any of those things, onward, I can survive it. In other words, she's cozy. Next up, they talked about the Oprah interview, and I'm going to read this excerpt. It's pretty long, so I'm just going to summarize it. But they talked about the Oprah interview and what were those first days like after the interview aired to 18 million people. I can't even really conceptualize that many people. And she talks about how she went to Gloria Steinem's birthday, which she expected to be a smaller shindig than it actually turned out to be. And she made this comment that when she walked in alone, and at no point has she ever been comfortable walking into a room alone. Could have fooled me. You would never read any of that on her. She's just a very confident person. Her posture is excellent. But she said that walking into the room, there's a bit reticent about it. And when she walked in, she was uncomfortable, but she soon found the women to be very welcoming and warm to her. And the quote that she said was, the power of sisterhood and female support can never be underestimated. That is true. Even when you haven't had this groundbreaking, record-breaking, globally freaking zeitgeist moment like the Oprah interview, even when you haven't had that, walking into a room alone, especially when you only know like 1 or 2 people, that is so uncomfortable. I don't care what anybody says. If you know me and I walk into a room alone and there are a lot of people that I don't know, go ahead and come greet me and like help welcome me in. Don't just let me stand there. Don't make me uncomfortable. But she did say she was welcomed in very warmly, and I love to hear that. I'm really glad that happened for her in that way. The next quote, we finally get an update on the Docu-Series. At one point, as you saw, I was like, is there even a Docu-Series? Like, I don't know. At this point, I didn't know if it had been shelved, if they changed their mind, what was happening with it. But we get a little bit of an update. So Matt asks, what can we expect from Liz Garbus's Docu-Series on you and your husband? And she said, it's nice to be able to trust someone with our story. A seasoned director whose work I've long admired, even if it means it may not be the way we would have told it, but that's not why we're telling it. We're trusting our story to someone else, and that means it will go through their lens. It's interesting. My husband has never worked in the industry before. For me, having worked on Suits, it's so amazing to be around so much creative energy and to see how people work together and share their own points of view. That's been really fun. So yes, that's right. Prince Harry has never worked in Hollywood or just in these kind of projects in this entertainment space. And so it's great that he has Meghan to kind of like walk him through that and kind of start getting familiar with this territory together. And she's got a long history in it, so it's no big deal. Even as a child, her dad was in the entertainment industry, so it's not like this foreign concept. This is who she is and this is what she does. I love that she maintained the perspective though, that it's going through someone else's lens. So there's a certain level of detachment that she's going to have with that, and that's how you keep yourself sane. If you nitpick every little detail because it's not exactly how you would have done it, you will miss creative energy. You will miss these moments of nuance that you wouldn't have gotten before. Nothing is one dimensional. Everything has layers to it, and sometimes different people can uncover different layers or expose or shine a light on different layers. That's how you get that creativity and that fun. So I love that she's being brave by trusting someone else to tell her story. They then went on to talk about the Paris Hilton interview on archetypes, which we just talked about, so I won't spend a lot of time recapping that. But what I will say is that she did acknowledge that she had a preconceived notion about Paris from what she saw in the media. And I'm sure a lot of Meghan's own experience had her kind of like checking how she thought of people based on what she'd seen. And that's a growth moment that she was happy to admit. I'm just saying it's not always easy for people to admit when they were wrong. So good for her. But she said that she apologized to Paris for judging her. She also went on to say that she wanted to make sure she felt safe and comfortable and that there would be no gotcha moment. Now, we talked about that. I literally said I was so glad to hear that Meghan affirmed her in that moment when she said she was nervous. And honestly, I can imagine how nervous Paris was. I talked about this yesterday, so I won't go through it too much, but I can imagine that she was very nervous. All of her interviews, people have been snarky and sarcastic to her and trying to catch her. When they talked about the ideal projects for Archewell, Meghan talked a little bit about her and Harry's love story. I was glad that she took the time to talk about that, actually, because it is a beautiful thing and people do identify with their love story quite a bit, actually. And I think that's how a lot of people identified with her who may or may not have anything in common with her. So he says, Matt goes, what is an ideal project for Archewell? And Meghan says, so much of how my husband and I see things is through our love story. I think that's what people around the world connected to, especially with our wedding. People love love. I'm not excluded in that sentiment, and our definition of love is really expansive. Partner love, self-love, the love of community and family. We use that as the baseline of the kind of shows and documentaries we want to put out there. I'm only going to include a few more because, again, I don't want to reveal too much in this article because I want you to still have something to look forward to. What would you say if one of your kids came to you in 10 or 15 years and said, I want a career in entertainment? Now, I found this answer to be interesting. She said, I would say great. And when you become a parent, you genuinely want your kids to find the things that bring them complete joy. They're our kids. Emphasis on our. Obviously. And they're part of a legacy and a tradition and a family that will have other expectations. But I want them to be able to carve out their own path. That was a mouthful because I wondered that as well. I wondered that as the children grow older, will the tides turn? Will they be in contact with their cousins a lot more than they are now? Will they start to build their own relationship with the royal family and with Meghan's dad's family? Like, what will that look like? Because here's the thing, as long as they're little, she can really protect them and keep them in a safe environment. But as kids get older, they start to explore, and then there's just this natural curiosity that comes about. And I have given thought to what will that dynamic be like when they're 16, 17, 18, and they're starting to build their own experience. Next, is it odd as an actor to know that other actors will probably play you in the future? Now, wait a minute. Y'all just forgot about Lifetime? Actresses have already played Meghan. I want to know, I wish he had asked her that. What do you think of the movies that are already out there depicting you and Harry's love story? I would have loved to know what she thought about that. She probably hasn't seen them. But she did work with Hallmark, which is very similar to Lifetime. So I don't doubt that she knows they're out there. But you know what? She seems like the type to protect her mental space and her energy. She probably didn't watch it. If she didn't authorize it, she probably isn't going to watch it. And that would be the smart thing to do. One of the things, as annoying as it is, when you are a public figure, people get to paint you how they want to paint you. And I will say this, it is not your business what other people think of you. It's only your business how they treat you. And that is something I have to learn over and over and over. I have to stop giving a crap what people think of me. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because if she were to watch that Lifetime movie, she would probably not be able to just watch it. She would probably be plagued with, that's inaccurate, wasn't wearing that blouse, that's annoying, they lied about that, exaggerated that, they forgot to put this in. It would probably not be a movie for her. It would probably feel like a personal attack because somebody is telling your story that you weren't part of. So she might know they exist, but she probably hasn't watched them. But I wish he had asked her, have you seen the Lifetime movies about you and Harry? What do you think? I would have loved that. But she says she hasn't given it much thought, to be honest. It's all weird. You have to compartmentalize. So yeah, I was right. Anyone talking about me or casting an actor to play me, that will be a caricature of me. That has been created for a business to make people money. Once you can separate that out, it's much easier to go, okay, that actually has nothing to do with me. It genuinely doesn't. It's a hard lesson to come to grips with. So no, she probably hasn't watched those Lifetime movies. And that's probably the best thing for her, to just be like, whatever they do with my story, according to them is according to them. Lastly, Matt asks who takes the most snack breaks. And it's then that we find out Prince Harry and Meghan go to In-N-Out Burger. And they know their order, so they go there a lot. That makes me feel not as trashy about the freaking wings that I have waiting on me for lunch. So what did you think of the interview? If you have not read the Variety interview, please use the link in the description box below to check it out. It is a very good interview, and it has video accompaniments to it and the beautiful photographs. So please feel free to check that out. It was such a good interview. I really enjoyed it. I also want to say thank you so much for watching my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you haven't, and if you're feeling inclined, please hit that like button, subscribe if you'd like, and turn on that notification bell. If you're interested in becoming part of the friend circle or the royal court, hit the join button below and select your membership level. We have lots of perks, lots of exclusive content, and you get to help curate the content with your liking and your feedback. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.